he was one of the clever guys in the company. In 2007, he turned his awesome geekitude towards a new type of problem. He wanted to reinvent the manufacturing and distribution process that people go through. And he invented a company called Pinocchio, which allows people all over the world to basically produce, fabricate products without having their own factory. Woohoo! And Catherine works there. So, sorry, I forgot to click my clicker. So I'd like to introduce Dave Tenhave. Tonight he's going to be talking about how we have nothing to fear but fear itself.
I went to food camp a few years ago and came back wishing that entrepreneurs would speak more about their stories while they were in the middle of the process. And so, welcome to the inside of my head. Before I go any further, I'd like to say that I love the company that I work for and have created. As an avid follower of the entrepreneurial process, I've been really interested by the fact that all the stories are retrospective. You hear about the stories after the fact. I'm not one of these guys. I'm not a winner. We all know their stories, but I've made it far enough to tell an interesting enough story that I hope will provide some inspiration. I have the rare chance to report from the middle of success and failure, a superposition of win and fail. The rules of the universe dictate that I can't tell you how fast I'm moving. My mother asked me a few years ago, why do I do what I do? The guy is my father. For the sake of this story, his contribution ended at the first 10 milliliters. Her question, though, lies at the core of this story. When you start a company, it's like a piercing. It's exciting, but eventually the excitement wears off and the pain sets in. That's not me, but I'm speaking from personal experience. The pain doesn't go away. Paul Graham has said that running a startup is like being punched in the face every morning. Imagine that. Wake up, have breakfast, get punched in the face. In my case, it was wake up, have breakfast, throw up. Me and the toilet became good friends for months. Imagine not being able to open your email client because you were afraid of what was to be revealed. The fear comes in many different forms, but the core of it is that you spend 24/7 trying not to be a fuck-up. You focus on what you need to do, which is to keep the lights on. Eventually, though, you turn around and you tame the monster that you've created. It's true, it's like that. You turn around and you tame it. If you're really lucky at that moment, you're able to take a breath and you're able to realize that luck has a lot to do with what you do. It's a really important factor between success and failure. It's not the only factor, but it's a really important factor. With your newfound knowledge, you reflect and you realize that you may just have knocked the bastard off. You threw yourself at something really big and you survived. And you give yourself a little bit of win. For me, the most startling part of the experience was that I had grown a little bit. The person who had started the process was inherently different from the person who had gone through the fear. I had grown as a person. Now, it's a horrid experience, and I wouldn't inflict it on my worst enemy. But in retrospect, you've learnt. And by peering into the abyss, you've redeveloped the joy of learning again and taking a challenge and creating something new. This moved fast. So I've now gotten to the point where I can answer my mother's question. And the really interesting thing is that the real answer isn't the first most obvious answer. You don't do it for the cash. You do it because you learn something. You do it because you're able to create something new. You do it because you're able to create a little bit of the future. You just happen to make money along the way. You do it for the journey, that process of becoming a new person and growing in a way that is quite rare in our world. There are very few experiences that you have that truly push you to the edge and test your mettle. And in the depths of that experience, you realize what the dynamic of fear is, and you know that all you needed to do was grab hold of it, and it was really just the fear of fear itself that stopped you from doing something quite exciting.